ties nicely into what you just said, in that you can't have people do it for you, but it's also really hard to do it alone. So you want to make sure you're getting support. You're getting the right kind of people that can help you determine those proper actions. If you're out there trying to do everything yourself, that's going to be really hard. It's going to be really frustrating. So nobody can lose the weight for you, but maybe somebody can help you make meal plans or even help you with the cooking if the cooking is the problem. So you may need to get the support that way. Maybe you need a weight coach just to help keep you accountable. So you still have to do the work, but if you really get that support system around you, that's a great way to have the next steps when you come out of something that's so motivating, like you just watched The Secret and you're all pumped up, you don't know what to do with it. Get a coach to help you do it, or get a mentor, or join a support group that's around that topic. Don't do it alone, because alone is a very lonely and a very hard road.
Well, that kind of goes through for your personal life as well, too. I mean, let's just say that you're earning good dollars, and there are things that are kind of falling apart in your personal life because you haven't taken the time to do them. Those are the tasks you should probably hire done, whether it's a personal assistant, whether it's a nanny, whether it's someone to help you clean your home, do your yard work. If you're making good dollars and this is not something you like to do, I always say, cut your lawn if that gives you pleasure. If you like the smell of cut green grass, go ahead and do that.
Exactly.
But if that doesn't, please you, then that's something you should hire done. So whether it's personally or professionally or spiritually or emotionally, have people surrounding you or that you can hire who will help you with these things and get you through those, various pits that you fall into, because we all have them and they all happen. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really big part of all of this. So let's talk about the work does your work with animals connect with this at all?
It connects in the sense that it really did help me tie into purpose. And I do some kind of pro bono coaching with other volunteers to help them understand some of this as well. Because animal rescue can be challenging, and it can be very tough emotionally. You're dealing with sometimes animals that are thrown away or horrible things have happened to them. And then for the fosters, you're dealing with animals that you love that you have to give up. So helping people with the mindset of all of that really ties into it as well, just to keep in that proper space. And
I would think your psychology background really helps you with that. I think probably the most difficult thing I would have to do with is to foster an animal and have to give it up. I think because I form such attachment to these wonderful creatures that I would find that extremely hard to do. But I understand that it must be done. And especially with dogs who assist, emotional support dogs or physically support dogs who support the physically disabled. That really, I would just find it so difficult because you've got to work with them for such a long time, and then to give them up, I think, would be difficult. But let's go back to your coaching. I just had to get the animals in because you know how I am about them. So
I know, me too.
Where would you like to see your coaching practice go? What would you like to be doing in your practice that you are not doing now?
What I would really love is to get out there to larger audiences. I really want to do a lot more speaking and just share this message with people to understand that we have been taught as a culture to think really small. And I really want to inspire people to think bigger, to really understand that they can have and be and do so much more than we're letting ourselves be. And when I ask people, if you could design your life any way you wanted, what would you do? So many of them don't even know the answer to that question. They've never asked. They're just going by day by day, and they're going to spend 90 years arriving safely at their death. And I want a lot more for people than that. So I want to be able to get the message out, have more online programs, but I really like that personal connection. So probably really speaking more to people, having more events, just getting people started. But again, not like The Secret. I don't just want to motivate them and cut them loose. I want to make sure that I'm providing tools for them to go forward and actually make it happen.
That is so true, what you just said, though, Lauren. In other words, you know, it's amazing how many people have never really thought about where they want to go or what they want to do. They just have fallen into
Hmm.
a pattern. I don't know whether it's because of where they grew up or how they grew up or the fact that they got a certain job and then they got raises and then they got promoted and
Hmm.
so they stayed, but it's not
Hmm.
really where they want to be. Or if it hits them, when they hit the age of 50 or so and they start thinking, wow, is this all there is? So,
Hmm.
so how do you get them to break loose from that?
Again, it's asking those questions. It's really stopping and listening to what is your self, your inner self telling you. If there's any kind of longing, any kind of discontent, then there's something else that you're yearning for. And you have to be willing to pay attention. I heard someone say once that our ability to hear our intuition is as loud as our willingness to listen. So we have to be willing to ask the question and then listen for the answer. And it may not come right away. It may come a little bit at a time. But be willing to get a little bit uncomfortable even. Be willing to take some risk. Don't give up. And just really pay attention to what I want. And that a lot of times people won't go for what they want because they'll say, oh, well, I have responsibilities. I have to make sure the bills are paid, or I have to make sure my kids or school is paid, or whatever it may be. But the reality is, like they tell you on the airplane, put your mask on first, and then assist someone else. And not that I'm saying it's quite that cut and dry, but really if you are taking care of yourself and you fill yourself up so full, you can feed the world with the overflow. So if we
Well,
think bigger and become more, it's all going to be taken care of.
so now, how would people reach you? How would they get in touch with you?
Best way to reach me right now is on my website at laurenkeith.lifemasteryinstitute.com. My email is there as well,
Well,
and my phone
let's
number.
do that a little slower because I know there is a dot in the middle of it, and I want to make sure everybody
It
gets it.
is
So say it again, very slowly.
Lauren. Sure, I do talk fast. I'm sorry. Lauren Keith. Lauren Keith dot lifemasteryinstitute.com.
Right. So there's two dots in there, people. One after Lauren
There
Keith,
are.
and then one after just before the com. The .com. So that's
Sure.
important. So okay. So if you were to give ourselves, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. What are some
Sure.
closing words of wisdom that you have for us?
I would say to really step up and say what it is that you want, and then just say, what is one thing I can do today with what I have right now that could help me get closer to that goal? And if you do more than one thing, kudos to you. But just try to get used to that idea. What is one thing I can do today with what I have now that will help me get to that goal? And some days, that one thing that you might do is actually to cut something away. It may be a person that you spend too much time with that's real negative, or it may be a bad habit that you need to cut away. It may be that you need to clean out your closet, even just to get rid of some clutter. So it may be something active or in the forward direction you do, or it may be a cutting away that you do. But if you can ask yourself that every single day, what is one thing I can do today with what I have now, you'd be amazed 3 months, 6 months from now, how far you've gotten. It's like a snowball effect, and it's really quite powerful. We tend to get so overwhelmed by the big picture that we do nothing. So what is this one thing every day?
Yeah, that's it. That's easy to work with. That's great. Good advice. Well, again, if you want to reach Lauren, it's Lauren. That's Lauren Keith Keith lifemasteryinstitute.com. So I want to thank you so much for being with us today. I tell you, Lauren, it was a very interesting conversation, and it was a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you, Gail. I enjoyed myself so much.
Well, this is Dr. Gail Carson thanking you for listening to Living Regret Free, the show that gives you skills and techniques to achieve a regret free life. Don't live a life of stress and negativity when you could be experiencing a life of joy, happiness, and reward. Our guests all have valuable tips to make your life a better one. Did you enjoy this week's show? Then join us next week for more exciting and informative guests on Living Regret Free. I would love to hear from you as to people you'd like on the show, questions you have for me, and you can email me at Gayle, that's Gayle Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, spunkyoldbroad.com.